Thank you, dear heart, and welcome everybody. Delighted that you're here. And we are heading into a new month. The 12th of the year is over already. How does it move that quickly? I don't know. And virtually everybody seems to agree that it's moving pretty quickly in any event. We'll be putting the latest worksheet on the website probably a little later today, maybe not until tomorrow, but the worksheet is up on the plate, and so made another few minor tweaks, put a couple more definitions in the definition section, and made a couple of small shifts, nothing major, but hopefully clarifying the process. It's a simpler short form worksheet than the one we've been currently using. We're going to encourage people to start out with something a little simpler, to start with that, and then step up to the more detailed sheet that gives a few more pieces of work to do in the process. So I'm excited about that coming together, and all things rocking forward. Miss Jeannie, do we have anybody on the phone queue with a hand up or anything happening in the chat room?
Nope, it is all quiet.
All is quiet on the Eastern Front?
Yes, I did just get a text from Susan, and she said she's had two tablespoons of borax in the last 2 days, and she's still alive. And she wanted to know, is it boron or borax?
Well, the element is boron, and according to the video that I was talking about, the best way to get it is through 20-mule team borax, a retail product. Even though it's got a poison warning on it, it's not poisonous. It's basically just boron. But 2 teaspoons in 2 days is quite a bit. If you remember, we talked about putting 2 tablespoons in a liter bottle, so about a quart of water, letting it dissolve, and then just doing a couple of tablespoons of that diluted water a day. So you've probably got quite a bit there. You'd need a whole lot more for it to be toxic, so you're not going to have any problem with it, I don't think, but you might want to not move quite that quickly. And the video is, I had trouble transferring the video or sending it, so we did finally, actually just about 10 minutes ago, get it uploaded to YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can get to that by just going to YouTube and typing Michael Ryce, R-Y-C-E, or you can get that by going to whyagain.org, and you'll see the social media links. And if you click the social media link for YouTube, you'll be on our channel. So it's an interesting interview. So, and a new piece of information for me. I did not realize that particular mineral was in so much of a crisis in terms of deficiency in the country. So, but I wouldn't push a teaspoon down a day. That sounds like it could be a little too much.
She said the diluted amount is what she meant.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Well, I'm still waiting to get mine from, we ordered some yesterday, but it's not here yet. So we don't go out of the house that much anymore. So that's one of the pieces of the puzzle that we're looking at, and we want to look again at this amazing, awesome, delightful. Actually, let me read a note that I got from a gentleman just this morning, or pardon me, yesterday afternoon. This gentleman started doing the codependence to interdependence. He'd done worksheets several years ago, dropped back into the work, and started doing codependence back about, I think, I'm looking through his text, I think it was about 6 weeks ago. Oh, maybe just 4 weeks ago. In the event, he dropped me a note asking if he could share the worksheet and the codependence work with his medical doctor who's a specialist in trauma. He says, I want to ask your permission if I could email such and such, the medical doctor, and let him know of the many approaches I've used over the years with some success for complex PTSD, and now I used forgiveness worksheets and the codependence to interdependence work, and a huge, rapid, miraculous result. And he says, I bet I don't even have complex PTSD anymore. Don't feel it at all when exposed to the triggers. So that's a pretty sweet testimonial, a month after years of being treated for PTSD, and not just normal PTSD, but complex PTSD. Here's someone says, I'm free of it. Feels like it's gone. And, you know, to me, the atrocity, and it's one that seems to be difficult for people to get at first. It takes time because the brain cells that we have had pounded into us over the years tell us that forgiveness is about how I'm going to let you off the hook for what's happening inside of me. And I was actually talking to another physician this morning and explained that, explained the process, that it was an internal process and had to do with changing the content of the mind. He was talking about forgiving someone else, and I explained, no, it's an internal process. It's got nothing to do with letting anybody off the hook for what's going on inside of you. That denial is the pretense that something outside of you is causing what's going on inside of you. And so we've gotten this mistaken idea of forgiveness. And so it was a fairly detailed explanation, and his next words were, oh, so you mean I have to forgive myself? It's like, no, never, ever, ever forgive anybody for anything, yourself or anybody else. But forgive continuously. Because when I say never forgive anybody for anything, it's, well, I thought your work was all about forgiveness. That's right, it is. But don't ever forgive anybody, because forgiveness has got nothing to do with this crazy idea of letting other people off the hook for what's happening inside of you. Forgiveness is a piece of technology with which you go inside your own mind, you find the dissociated causes of your pain, and you remove them. So that's where we want to go. So if someone's frustrated, angry, annoyed, enraged, afraid, lonely, lost, or whatever, dealing with a difficult situation, or responding out of one's own wounds and blaming others, that's always the opportunity to heal the pain content of one's own mind, body, and nervous system. If you doubt that, I suggest you do a search on YouTube for a song called Madness by Alanis Morissette. Madness. She does such a beautiful job in this song of explaining the repeating experiences, the why is this happening to me again experience. So when I hold unresolved trauma within me, it's easy to put the underlying energies of that trauma into my brain's internally constructed perceptual images of others. So I create a construct called perception, and I pretend that the construct in my mind is showing me somebody out there in the world, and that they're the cause of the way my mind's trauma or pain-based interpretation of events at least appear to me to be the truth, which directly leads away from understanding what is really true. There is no real healing until we can tell fact from interpretation, reality from actuality. So reality is a construct of the mind, and most people live in the realities in their minds. They have very little or no contact or association whatsoever with actuality. They substitute these constructs, these holographic images generated by the mind, they put in front of what's actually going on in the world and their opportunity to experience that. when many, if not all of our wounds and therefore our pain come from genetically inherited traumas, multi-generational assaults reinforced through unconscious actions, generation after generation, stored and repeated ad nauseum. Each pain perception appears to be different, but all are based on that hidden, dissociated trauma that, when activated, obscures the subtle and permanently available experience of ourselves as our true nature, which is love. It overrides the experience of that subtle energy of love. Recognizing it blocks to the awareness of ourselves as love are never imposed from the outside. They're internal and they're removable, if, of course, one has the technology to do so. I offered that all healing and the return to love, experiencing ourselves as who we are, is strictly an inside job. There's a work to be done. All construct of one's mind, I guess, are autobiographical. They tell us first and foremost what is going on inside of us. So everything your mind outputs tells you first what's inside of you before it makes it into a picture that you think is something outside of you. So if we, if you imagine painting a picture and you have 6 colors to paint with, no matter what the picture is that you paint, the picture always tells you what the 6 colors are that you have to paint with. Perception is like a painting. Content of that perception, pained, traumatized, or delightful, tells you about the brushes that you're making it with. So until each generational trauma is like a brush, and until those traumas are removed or healed, we're easily tricked into believing the false pictures and perceptions generated by our minds. As long as we believe that something outside of us is the cause rather than just a trigger of what's moving within, we inhabit a world of lies. Feelings do not come from pictures. They come from internally generated energies, and they're all self-imposed. Blamers, those who insist that others are the problem, would do really well to understand denial. The act of thinking or speaking as though something outside of oneself is the cause of what's moving on the inside. Denial results in instant dissociation, the hiding of the truth, which blocks awareness of one's own internal dynamics, resulting in an unnatural condition called an unconscious mind. Carl Jung did some awesome work in describing the unconscious and the source of the unconscious, as well as the seemingly unavoidable repeating painful experiences. Most everybody thinks, why is this happening to me again? It just goes on and on, over and over and over again. There's a reason. If you've been through it 87 different times with 42 different people, you'll notice you're the only one that was there every time. Trauma is going to recur until resolved by the action of changing old familial habits of mind. Jung says everything that, and I'm going to put in quotes, appears to, everything that irritates us about others can lead to understanding of oneself. Why is that? Well, Jung goes on to say, whatever is rejected from the self appears, and let's put in brackets there, through blame, in the world, let's put in brackets, called perception, as an event. He says we meet ourselves, and of course that's meet ourselves in our projections on others, we meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life, until the unconscious becomes conscious. It will direct our lives, and we will call it fate. It's time for us as human beings to put an end to the multi-generational fantasy of victimhood that many swear mistakenly is the truth. You're not a victim, you're a creator. So once we get that, we are not victims, we are creators. And when you own your creative power, everything changes. So repeating projected emotions and perceptions echo with words like, you made me so mad or sad or afraid or hurt. And the very things that people don't want to look at or deal with are the things that are most urgent to be looked at and dealt with. The question becomes, how do we make the unconscious conscious? Well, the tools for reliably opening what in the ancient teachings was called the veil of the temple being the body, the veil being the barrier between the subconscious and the unconscious, the barrier underneath which we keep our pain hidden. The tools for opening that and removal of assault energy appeared very clearly 2,000 years ago in the Aramaic language. That tool, forgiveness, in the ancient Aramaic language, is a process that uncovers and removes what we've hidden through denial within ourselves. Greek translations change forgiveness from an internal process to an outer directed act. Forgive, we're told. Let them off the hook, we've been told. With that errant directive, the simple technology of forgiveness was lost to humanity. So in the Greek misinterpretation, we're convinced that we need to be forgiven for something, rather than realizing that there's something to be forgiven or removed from within our own minds and genes. So people go around seeking forgiveness. People have bumper stickers on their car. I've been forgiven. You don't want to be forgiven. You want to engage in forgiveness, removing what never belonged from you, doing your part so that you access the hidden parts of the minds and remove it. So these energetic patterns that have been passed on for generations and generations, these energetic assaults, have to be removed right down to our genes, from our genes. This slippery twist that the Greeks put into the process has left millions letting everybody else off the hook for what's going on in their own minds, rather than taking responsibility and removing from their minds, forgiving the projected and hidden, often generational content within them. Letting someone outside of us off the hook for what's going on inside of us will never rid us of our experience of internally generated hurt, upset, or pain. And short of somebody, cancel the thought, punching you in the nose, nothing can hurt you. No event in the world can hurt you. But if there's hurt that's been denied and dissociated from, lots of events can come along and resonate that for you. And if you keep speaking, thinking, or speaking, remember now, if you think or speak as though something outside of you is the cause of what's moving in you, then you're going to attach what's moving in you to whatever that is outside of you. Your mind's going to generate a construct that will show you that that is in fact the cause, because your mind can only obey the words you give it. So letting somebody else off the hook is never going to rid us of what's going on inside of us. Outer directed acts do not bring correction to internally generated dynamics. Engaging in actual forgiveness creates a visceral opening that facilitates the flow of light and love into every instant and every experience of our lives. It doesn't matter whether you're alone or lonely, afraid or sad, rageful or hateful. Through forgiveness, a clean and open space within your mind is created. And when that clean and open space is created within your mind, things change. Instant, when forgiveness occurs, there's a transmutation the removal of the energy of pain. Pain and turmoil is always an invitation, always a directive to end denial, to learn and to apply forgiveness. Now, if you want to read more about that, if you want to learn more about that, there's several ways to do it. You can go to our YouTube channel. There are dozens of videos, and most of them talk about forgiveness. And to get to the YouTube channel, you simply go to YouTube and type in Michael Ryce. You can download from our website a free copy of my book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? It's on the website, free in 9 different languages. The website is whyagain.org. So if you just type in whyagain.org/book, you'll have access to all of those translations. So there's a free download link. The worksheet process can be done on the website live. Jeannie got that working. We were having trouble with it a couple of days ago, but she got it rocking. Our India technicians were awesome in jumping on it and getting it repaired. You can go to your app store in your phone and type in Heartland, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, forgiveness. You'll be looking at the world's only forgiveness app. There is only one in the world at this point. Jeannie created it. Awesome work, Jeannie. So again, go to your bookstore or your app store, type in Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness, and there it is. And it's free. Although we may take your advice, Susan, we're looking at that. You can also go to the website and you can download worksheets, the step-by-step process. There's several different versions of it. And you can do the worksheet live on the website. So recognizing a perception, the world we think we see with our eyes, is literally an holographic projection of the mind. You realize we see nothing with our eyes. We see with our brains. And when you realize that's a construct, then if you understand what drives it, you can collapse the construct. And that's the genius of this man Yeshua from 2,000 years ago. And you'll notice that unless you're just a generally miserable person, you've never in your life been upset with anybody as long as they're fulfilling all the goals you have for them. Everybody's doing what you want them to do. Hey, you're a happy camper, right? So when you start to look at how the process works, it's going to seem kind of strange when we talk about goals there, but goals are the key way into collapsing the perceptual constructs of the mind. To YouTube, and I don't know, maybe Jeannie, we should put Anil Seth's YouTube video on our website. We could look into that, but in any event, go to YouTube and search for the name Anil, A-N-I-L, Seth, S-E-T-H. He's a professor of cognitive and computational neuroscience at a university in England, and he documents the research that shows that perception is just a mental construct. It's generated by the mind, body, nervous system. So go take a look at that video, and then you can, if you like, you can download from our website a copy of the book that the CIA publishes. It's a freebie on the CIA's website. We used to link to the CIA website, but they've moved it around so much the link would keep breaking, so we now have it copied on our site. So the book is on human intelligence. And, quote, here is what they say. Here's what they discovered as they're studying. There's one chapter on perception, and here's what they discovered. Quote, perception is demonstrably an active rather than a passive process. It constructs rather than records reality. Perception is a process of inference, they say, in which people construct their own version of reality on the basis of information provided through the five senses. Now, of course, constructs its own version of reality based on the interaction between the information provided and the information already stored in the mind. Someone who has no trauma-based realities can stand in front of a pretty heavy-duty experience, and that information comes in through the senses, and they'll go, oh, there's a heavy-duty experience. Another person watching exactly the same event that has trauma-based information with them will tend to generate a trauma-based perceptual construct. So your mind, based on its content, literally constructs the world you see. And you can go to the website and download the whole report on whyagain.org. Now, reality or perception, constructs of the mind, the output of the mind, is either a high-quality, accurate picture, quality, deceptive projection. And the indicator that you're getting high-quality output from your mind is that your physiology is holding to the presence of love. It means the mind's on track. Any form of fear and or hostility is an indicator that the mind is using corrupt data to build its projections rather than reflect accurate information about the actuality. So we live in a world of actuality, and then out from our minds is our reality, a construct from our minds. And it has a quality. And I just offer that, if you think about a meter from 1 to 10 that's measuring the quality of the output of the mind, obviously 10 is going to be better than 1. Person who is at a level 10 with the perceptual constructs of their mind, we're going to say, that person is a genius. The person who's at a level 1, we're going to say, not very bright. So when the mind is using corrupt data, it massages its own unconscious content into a false picture that follows the directions the mind is given. And the direction, if it's, you made me mad, then the mind's going to take its own angry content and massage it into a picture that makes it look like whoever the you is involved there is the one who made one mad. And it's the biggest lie ever told. You'll notice every time you've been mad, you're the one who's been there. You're mad. The mad content of your mind is yours. It's about you. It's not about anybody else. And so recognizing that, we get to change the game if you can own what's going on in your mind. And the objective here is to understand what the marker is for distortion, perception, and that is any form of hostility or fear. Now, if you want to prove that to yourself, just think of a time, and I ask this question often, and everybody laughs and everybody puts their hand up. Has anybody ever accused you of saying something you absolutely never said or doing something that you absolutely never did? Everybody laughs and goes, sure. Now think about the state of mind that people were in when they accused you of doing what you didn't do. Were they in this loving, sweet, wonderful, awesome space? Or were they in some form of hostility or fear? 100% of the time, it's hostility and fear. Hostility and fear distort the output of the mind. Now, notice it's really clear to you, other people are accusing you and they're in hostility or fear. Boy, their mind's really off track. But notice that you probably still believe that when your mind does hostility or fear, your mind is on track and is telling you the truth, and the problem really is them. That's got to be corrected. So all perception, literally the world made up by us, including sensations in the body, are autobiographical. Tell you about yourself. Projection is not the act of pretending that something out inside of you is outside of you. It's the act of building realities out of internal content and pretending that that hologram, that image, is actually outside of you. So each person's reality, the perceptual constructs of the mind, are holograms, nothing more than constructs of the mind that give meaning to actuality. It's really important to remember that there's no life in a hologram. To our YouTube channel, and there are many videos on forgiveness. There's a full 3-hour, up until just a few months ago, the only way to watch the video of Why Is This Happening to Me Again was by buying a DVD or a streaming link, which you can still do if you want to support us, but you can also go to our YouTube channel and you'll see the full 3-hour, the most recent 3-hour video workshop of Why Is This Happening to Me Again. So forgiveness, the reality management wake-up sheet or worksheet, is how you can face and dissolve anything that pulls you out of the presence of love. And that's what we're here to provide. That's what we're here to bring to understanding. I'll ask the question, does that make sense to everybody that's listening? And if there's something that doesn't make sense, something that didn't fit, I'd appreciate it if you push one and explain to me what else needs to be understood to make this a complete picture. What I'm working to do is make the shortest complete picture of this work that I can. And of course, I've been through it 10,000 times, so a lot of things are obvious to me that maybe aren't obvious to someone else. So if there are any pieces missing, if there's anything that I've said in the last, 35 minutes or so that doesn't make sense, or that needs augmentation, that needs a little more explanation, that needs just a tweak, I'd appreciate it if you push one and tell me about it. How does this fit for you? Is there anything missing from the puzzle? And of course, if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you, or we're syndicated, then by calling our radio show call-in number, 563-999-3581, if you call that number, you'll be listening to the show directly. And then, if you have a question or a comment, all you do is push one, raise a hand in the control panel, and Jeannie will introduce you by your area code. So I'd really seriously like to hear from anyone if there's anything that in this flow of information, step by step, isn't making sense for you. If there's a piece missing or something that just didn't quite get across, I would love to hear from you. So if you're out there in this land, push one. Let's have a conversation about it. So, Miss Jeannie, did all the pieces fall in place for you there? And are there any pieces that are needed, or are there any clarifications that are needed?
No, I thought it was pretty clear, and I was thinking and I'm not sure, Anil's video might be protected through TED Talk
Blocked,
or something.
yeah.
I've not been able to, I'm trying to get it to download so I can upload it to our site, but it might not be possible. So.
Okay. Cool.
But
well,
nobody
maybe we
has a
could
hand up.
I do have the thought that maybe we could put a link to his video on our site. Just create a picture with a link to it so that people can reach it easily.
Oh, I've got that.
Oh, it's already on our YouTube channel?
I've had it on there for a long time. No, not
cool.
on their YouTube, but on our website. I've had it on there for a long time.
Well, maybe we can copy that over to the YouTube channel if somebody doesn't get to the site but gets the YouTube channel. Bingo, it's there, and if they're looking through our stuff, they've got access to it.
I'll work on it, but it has to be a video to go on YouTube. It can't just be a link, but I'll see what I can do.
Cool. All right. I bet you'll invent something if nothing else. So if you're out there in listener land, we've got about 20 minutes left, so let's have a conversation. How can we support you? What's on your mind? Call-in number is 563-999-3581. Quiet on the Western Front?
It is.
Well, I'd love to hear somebody's voice. Complete with my monologue. I'm complete with what I had to say. I'm hoping we gave a complete picture of the process of the work. Certainly there must be somebody out there with a thought or a question, someone that would like to have some support. Well, I didn't ask earlier if we had any questions from the app or any emailed questions, anything happening in that arena, if nobody else has got a thought or a question for us.
The only thing is that a couple of people have actually asked about food fund forgiveness and work, and they're not clear on how that works, if it's an exchange or if it costs, and if it's definitely going to happen. So other than that, I don't have any other questions.
Okay, great. Well, it'd be a good thing to give a status check on that. It looks like, we weren't going to do a season at Heartland this year. And we had an inquiry from a group of people who teach the Steiner schoolwork. And they wanted to come to Heartland in August for a 10-day intensive, a group. And it looks like, I talked to him yesterday, it looks like they're about 90% of the way there. And so if that happens, then depending on what interest, we're putting out the feelers for who's interested, we will back up from August the 6th, which is the date they're looking at, and do either a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again, or a 17-day teacher training. So that teacher training would probably end something like August the 1st, or I haven't looked at the calendar in terms of dates, but something in that range on probably a Sunday or maybe a Friday.
Or July. You said August. You're going to do that before that group?
And
so it'd be July?
August 6th. August 6th is the training for the Steiner School group. If it confirms, then we're going to back up into the end of July. I misspoke that, for either a 9-day Y or a 16-day teacher training, if there's enough interest to do that. And then we'll back up from there and do a 16-day food fund forgiveness and work program. The 16-day food fund forgiveness, if people come to Heartland and do an intensive, and we actually, I don't know, we may have to raise our prices a little bit this year because food prices have just, literally in so many cases gone up 25, 50, 75%. But, and we haven't really thought through that, but up till now, we haven't raised our prices in, I don't even know, 10 years or more. Basically, Heartland is a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive is $15.75. So again, we'll probably have to raise that cost, so maybe another $100, so $16.75 probably for a 9-day. And then with the food fund forgiveness, it's an economy program, what we do is we do work projects on the property during the day, so you're working with other people that are doing the work, who are about healing, and it becomes real world opportunities to learn forgiveness. And then in the evenings, we'll do workshops each evening, and on Saturday we'll do mind shifters and still point breathing. So you get a big chunk of an intensive in that 16 days. And instead of being $15.75 for a 9-day time period, or $16.75, it will probably be, as I say, it's basically $100 a day for 16 days. So it'd be $1,600 for 16 days, and that'll include everything, workshop materials, food, and of course, during the day there'll be work projects. So it's a way to support Heartland, assist us in upgrading the property, getting it. The objective of Heartland is to be a jump-off place for the work of forgiveness on a global scale, and so it will be a way to support this work and get into projects that need to be done on the property, and it might include anything from, painting to building to doing maintenance work around the property. Just depends what needs to be done. It looks like Terry Bowling, who's a contractor who was at Heartland for 2 years back several years ago, is probably going to come and kind of head up the workup crew. And then, as I say, each evening, we'll do dinner, and then after dinner, we'll do a workshop each evening. So it'll be, that time period each evening through the 16 days, except for Saturday, when we'll do mind shifters and still point breathing. So Saturday will be a whole day. There won't be work projects on Saturday aside from food prep. There won't be work projects. It'll just be going into mind shifters and still point breathing, and then in the evening we'll do a movie. So that's kind of how the plan's unfolding at this moment. So if you're interested in joining us, drop Jeannie a note, or drop me a text, or call me if you happen to have my number. But otherwise, drop Jeannie a note, Jeanie, Jeannie, at whyagain.org. So just give her a call, or drop her a note, and make sure to put your information, your phone number and such, and I'll get back to you and see what you're interested in and get you registered if you're going to play. So that's kind of what the summer's looking like. We had really not thought about doing a summer season because of the whole COVID thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to require everybody to do a COVID test prior to arriving, and then we're going to have, actually there'll be a whatever it costs us for the nasal spray. That I have a friend who's a chiropractor that manufactures a number of different health products, and he's got one for cleansing the nasal passages and the passages down into the lungs. So it's a good prophylactic for something like COVID. So that's the plan. If you want to play, let us know. And we're down to 15 minutes, so anybody have a thought for us? If not, Miss Jeannie, then I think we should just close the show out. I just don't have any more to say right now. Oh, great.
Hello.
Good. Would rather have that than not.
Okay, and I believe it is Mr. Terry, 336. You're on the air.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Hey there, young man. We're rocking. How about you?
Good. Yep. Just thinking about all that needs to be done. I had a great talk with not only Chuck, but with Michael, the fellow that was there before. I can't pronounce his name.
Michael Tate.
Yeah. Had a very, very good conversation with him. He had very good notes and input on all the units. So I wanted to jump in there and ask about, we started a little fundraiser. How's that going?
We'd have to ask Jeannie. I don't know of anything that's come in terms of a fundraiser to assist. We've got a roof to put on a building if that all comes together, and there's several projects to do. But
other than the ones that you already got about a month ago, I haven't seen any come in.
Okay, so Michael, how many?
So Terry, inspire us.
Yeah, how many folks have you engaged with over the years? Would you imagine? Just a guess.
Oh golly.
20,000, 30,000.
40,000 easy.
Oh, way. No, over the years we're at probably 500,000. But we keep our mailing list is trimmed down. We've got about 4,000 on our mailing list, I think.
We could get 100 people to donate $100. That would give us $10,000 for much-needed materials. Because material costs are up, you know that. Some of the lumber is coming back. Yeah, and there's a lot of expenses that'll need to be covered. Just in that alone, the materials and the logistics and getting stuff, all that kind of thing. So if you could get 100 people whose lives have benefited from this work to throw in $100, we got a good start. That was my idea, and that'd give us a pretty good little amount of money to get started. It'd be nice if you could get 1,000 to put 100. That'd be even better.
I would second that, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, there are more projects than I thought of doing if we had that kind of funding at this point, for sure. With Heartland being closed the last 4 years, it's been a bit of a challenge with cash flow, and then not being on the road, which was the main thing that kept Heartland supported over the years, and of course intensives, which we haven't done for 4 years. So it's been a challenge.
Yeah, I don't know how. I've never done a GoFundMe or any of that stuff, but I know that some of them have been. My daughter used one to help pay off her tuition, and she was able to pull in several thousands of dollars from friends and family members to help her finish, final year there at college, so she can get her degree. And we had a few folks be willing to spread the word, and somebody that knew how to set that up and get it spinning. We could really get some traction there.
Great idea. Maybe we'll look into that. And I hadn't really thought of that particularly, but we'll take a look.
So that was just my thoughts and input for today. Appreciate you being there. And I've continued to enjoy and evolve with the worksheets. And, I noticed that when I take a little break from doing the worksheets, then there's a little resistance that comes up re-engaging. And the resistance came up for me this time was primarily around some of the fill in the blanks and the warped verbiage, and my mind wanted to jumble it around. So, fortunately, with my background and the number of sheets I've done, after about 4 or 5, I started to get back in the groove, and clicking with it. So if anybody's having any trouble with that, I know you guys have tons and tons and tons of resources and archives and stuff, and I would just encourage them to push through those one until it clicks and they get an aha. And I got something that I thought I had dealt with in relation to my father, and that came up, and it was really beautiful because it was an interaction with someone that had never been around Dad, or it wasn't around me in that period of life at all, but they had assumed the role of some of the behaviors, and I was like, why is this what is happening to me again? It's like I have layered these issues onto this person who I said, I know they don't deserve this. What is going on? And I had to work through a few worksheets, but because of the foundation, again, I say it was pretty remarkable that I was able to cut through several layers of nonsense to get down to the power person dynamic and look at the true issue there.
It's such an important thing to do. It's just beyond comprehension, really.
You got to experience it to know it.
Yes, yes. And have you been on the show since we started?
No, I was taking care of some things. I jumped on as soon as I could,
okay.
so I missed the first part.
I was just wondering what you thought of the synopsis.
Yeah.
But if you didn't hear the whole thing, we couldn't get an answer, but that's okay.
No. It's got a real short overview, because we're almost out of time.
Cool. I'm actually working on pairing the workshop or the whole concept down into a book that's going to take less than a half an hour to read.
Nice.
And have video links to all the key and complex pieces of it, making an ebook out of it, and just something that people can just literally go through in less than go through the reading part of it in half an hour, and then watch the links. There'll be several hours of links in it to complete the picture and, offer the worksheet process. So
that's a fantastic idea. And one thing that reminds me of something else I was going to throw out there to you. I'll jump on Amazon and I'll pick up a couple of copies of Why Again and give out a couple, and I try to keep 3 or 4 in my library, and they're getting a little bit harder and harder to find. And I thought, how about Kindle edition? I would buy a Kindle edition in a minute. Have you guys?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've looked into all that stuff.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at doing a digital book so that people will be able to just, it'll be for a phone or a computer or a Kindle, so that they can hit a link and go to the video, so they get a complete video picture of whatever it is they're working on.
Yeah, I get that concept, and that'd be great. I would also like to be able to get a copy of the Why Again original in Kindle.
Okay. Good input. We'll look at it.
That's on my wish list.
Okay. Well, we'll put it out there. Maybe somebody has some could give us some support and input on the technology end of moving what we've got into a Kindle book. So, find out too if there's anybody out there that's into the technology.
I think Amazon has some type of support to help people achieve that, especially since you've already got your book all together.
Right. Cool. Good thinking. We'll put it in the archives or in the hopper and see what comes out.
All right, buddy. Thank you, sir.
Okay, my friend. Appreciate your support. Look forward to hanging out with you at Heartland this summer. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. Well, we're down to about 4 minutes, maybe a little less. So we got time for one more quick question. There with a thought for us. Push one.
We're actually down to less than 2 minutes.
Less than 2 minutes. Well, then we'll just say once again, if you're interested in joining us this summer, then please drop Janie a note, JEANIE at WHYagain.org. And in the meantime, create the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. And blessings. Bye-bye.